That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Captain America: Brave New World, the fourth film directed by Julius Onah, notably the fourth film in the Captain America sub-franchise and the 35th Marvel film that Walt Disney Studios released February 14th, 2025, for all you lovers out there.
And the first Captain America film featuring Anthony Mackie as Captain America.
The 2011 film with Chris Evans?
No, this one.
Oh, where he has stepped. Yes, he's inherited the position. Yes.
Although from this film, you wouldn't know it because it feels like it's part 3 of...
I mean, like all of these films are, I think if you don't have some experience or dabbled in the others, like if you just watch this cold, you'd be like, huh?
Well, that's effectively me because I don't remember. I mean, I don't know anything about anything, so this felt disorienting. Anyway, what is this film about? Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan. What is your pull quote?
This movie feels so small, global plan.
It feels very small, and I'm probably going to go back to this IMDb premise, but give us your pull quote.
As a major motion picture, Captain America: Brave New World is a non-entity, deceptively nonsensical in its spackled, empty-headed narrative. It's unclear what the film is attempting to say, other than suggesting the necessity of embracing one's own strengths and weaknesses.
Mine. To those familiar with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this continuation may satisfy. However, to the uninitiated, Captain America: Brave New World feels like the boring middle portion of a much longer story. I'm going to go back to this IMDb premise. So Anthony Mackie is the new Captain America. I do have to say, I often criticize, like, it's so jarring to think like, oh, there's just a new Superman or a new Spider-Man or a new Batman. But for Captain America, it isn't that there's a new, like, it does make sense that this new character can fit into the same universe.
Yes.
Because his name is not the same. Like, he is meant to be a different person.
His name is not the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least there's that. Okay.
Totally Lampanelli, but yeah.
In the middle of an international incident, this international incident is, there's something called the celestial body that we need to get back to, but I didn't, like, is this mentioned in a different movie? Because they're talking about it like everyone knows.
I mean, it sounds like something out of a Shirley MacLaine memoir, but...
And then the nefarious global plan, I'm not sure what that is. The
villain
seems to have a singular mission, which is to take down another character. So
so singular, though, that it's like all of this to it's a smear campaign.
Basically, which is unfortunate that I didn't like this movie because I think it could have made for a decent political thriller. But
well, with 5 screenwriters, I guess it's more of the same hodgepodge mess.
Okay, this script feels like it's everywhere, but like nowhere at the same time because there is a lot going on, but it felt so uneventful. I guess I can start telling the story with the villain. So the villain is Tim Blake Nelson.
Samuel Stearns.
And he has been mutated. And so now his superpower is that he's really smart and he looks like a lizard.
Well, he looks like he's got cauliflower ear all over his head.
Yeah. He's mad because he was imprisoned by Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford used to be a U.S. military general. Harrison Ford was using Tim Blake Nelson for his brains, like to develop weaponry and, defense tactics, but primarily Tim Blake Nelson helped Harrison Ford become president. So the opening of this film is that Harrison Ford has been elected president.
Notably through the powers of probability, which we need to get back to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, the opening is that Anthony Mackie as Captain America and his sidekick played by Danny Ramirez, who I guess is the Falcon.
The new fella, he's going to accept that role, the protege. Joaquin Torres, we hear that name a lot.
They stopped the sale of adamantium. Where did adamantium come from? The celestial body, which we need to get back to.
Well, it was stolen from Japan.
Right. And they mined it from this celestial body. Okay. So we flash forward some time and we see that Harrison Ford is about to hit his 100 days in office as president. And he's really focused on this global treaty, which is basically to figure out how everyone, like the global leaders, are going to deal with this celestial body, because the celestial body contains adamantium. And the way the president is talking about adamantium is like it's this new thing, which confused me because weren't we introduced to that with Wolverine? Like, but what do I know? I'm just some dumb bitch. But
But they're also like, they take pains to be like, it's better than vibranium.
which is shady because the big thing about Anthony Mackie as Captain America, we're told in this film, is that he has a new jazzy outfit and it's made from vibranium that the Wakandans gave him. So I think that's funny that basically, like, in the same,
So basically, he got an iPhone 12, and now we're on.
like, 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, when the president decides to have like a dinner at the White House or an event to celebrate
The treaty.
the treaty and also to thank Captain America and the Falcon for stopping the sale of vibranium or adamantium. And it's during this that another character we're introduced to, Carl Lumbly. He's like a super soldier from back in the day who's friendly with Anthony Mackie. He was incarcerated for 30 years because of what he did as a super soldier. So he's
Sorry, they experimented on him, kind of like Tuskegee.
yeah, and he's very hesitant to deal with the president because of how he was treated. But Anthony Mackie secures an invite. So Carl Lumbly agrees to go meet the president. And while they're there, the president asks Anthony Mackie to help him restart the Avengers. I don't understand why the Avengers broke up. I also don't understand why everyone hates Harrison Ford, except that he did something related to the Hulk.
I think he campaigned and spent a lot of money and time trying to lasso Bruce Banner. So that's why it's ironic what happens to him. I read that someone was calling him a tragic character.
While during this event, Carl Lumbly gets up and tries to kill the president. And so, of course, they take his ass down, throw him in jail. And then the bulk of the movie for Anthony Mackie is that he's trying to get Carl Lumbly out of jail because he knows that his friend would not do this. Someone must have been controlling his mind. Well, guess what? It's Tim Blake Nelson. He's hypnotizing fools with their cell phone and then getting them to do his bidding by playing some song that reminded me of the Jeepers Creepers song.
It's very Manchurian Candidate.
So, of course, Anthony Mackie meets up with Tim Blake Nelson very quickly, and it's a very uneventful meeting. Tim Blake Nelson goes, yeah, you should be glad I'm doing this. You also hate Harrison Ford because of what he did to the Avengers and whatever. But of course, Anthony Mackie's a good guy. So he's like, no, we have to go through the appropriate channels to show what really happened. There's a final showdown with Harrison Ford. And we find out that Tim Blake Nelson's plan, as you called it, the smear campaign, is to make Harrison Ford turn into the Hulk. How's he going to do that? Harrison Ford has been taking these pills that Tim Blake Nelson gave him for his heart, because apparently Harrison Ford had a heart condition.
Yeah.
But those pills were poisoned with radiation, and that radiation is what's going to turn Harrison Ford into the Hulk. Except instead of being green, he's red. So the final showdown is that Harrison Ford gets mad at a press conference, turns into the Hulk.
And stomps around like the roided out Kool-Aid man.
Yes. And then we find out that Japan is mad because of their adamantium being stolen. And so all of a sudden the Prime Minister of Japan has some like ships go to the celestial body. Don't know why. I guess to say it's theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Japan thinking that the US is attacking them, and Anthony Mackie has to show they're not. He's successful. But I thought this movie should have been called Captain America Cherry Blossoms because because Captain America cannot defeat the Hulk on his own. Like the Hulk whoops Captain America's ass.
Yeah, he breaks off his little hybrid wings and shield. Yeah.
To the point where Captain America has to literally be like, okay, take two. Think about your daughter. And so in the beginning of the film, we find out that Harrison Ford's daughter is Liv Tyler.
Yeah, they have a John Voight / Angelina Jolie type relationship.
Her character's name is Betty, and they keep talking about Betty, which I think.
Where's Betty at? Did Betty?
And so, yeah, Anthony Mackie tells Harrison Ford, think about Liv Tyler and the cherry blossoms. And they're sitting in a row of cherry blossoms. And Harrison Ford's like, you're right. And then he shrinks down. And that's it. And then we flash forward and see that Harrison Ford's imprisoned in the raft, which is like this prison floating in the middle of the ocean. And then guess who shows up? Captain America and Betty.
They came on the same flight to the raft. I don't know.
And
Liv Tyler has 3 lines.
She was giving the kind of enthusiasm that the person repeating your order in the drive-thru window gives. It was so pointless to me. And then Harrison Ford sitting there like, yeah, like I'm so noble that I decided to retire and just go to jail. Like as if you had a choice.
The only thing that would have made that even more corny than it is if she brought a sprig of cherry blossoms to the raft.
I mean, she probably should have.
I'm assuming her casting is like of note because she was, of course, in the 2008 version of The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, if you remember that.
Hell no. And then who was she in that? Was she Betty in that movie?
No, that's completely, well, no, that's Bruce Banner.
And then the post-credit scene is Tim Blake Nelson on the raft.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then I was reading that was shot like in 2015. I don't understand why we need that, but
and all he says is something cryptic about there's others coming. Yeah, there are more Marvel movies. There's one good line, and I chose to have an ironic reading of it when Tim Blake Nelson says, "Please don't be boring."
Oops. Okay, going through my notes. I've said before, I do not like these superheroes who don't have powers, like Iron Man, Batman. It's just so unbelievable because then you have, like, I just rewatched there's a movie where Ben Affleck is Batman and Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yes, a couple of them, Justice League or
I don't know what I was watching, but
Man.
And it's just so unbelievable watching Superman fight Batman. Like Superman could rip Batman in half with his pinky toe. So like it's just so unbelievable. But then from what I remember of Chris Evans, he did have like super strength.
Yeah, he was experimenting the serum. He's imbibed the serum.
But Anthony Mackie didn't take the serum. And I only know that because he says it like 3 times, like that he wishes he would have taken the serum or that he's glad he didn't. I don't know.
At what point does he have to give up the wings when Joaquin Torres assumes the position? But Joaquin he has his own wings. Like, so he's going to be Captain America with wings? I
don't know. I like Anthony Mackie well enough, but I just think that he didn't have much pizzazz as this character. And then this character doesn't have any flair to him because he's just a man. Like,
I know you're not talking about Anthony. I should have been nominated for 3 Oscars by now, Mackie. I don't like any of these films, but I was hoping for Mr. Mackie that this would feel like, when Eartha Kitt stepped into Catwoman's shoes and made it her own iconic thing. Like, I don't see him being able to put any kind of stamp on this.
I think he's overshadowed by Harrison Ford. I even preferred Carl Lumbly. Like, I would have rather just seen a movie about Carl Lumbly. This movie could have just been Carl Lumbly against Harrison Ford, and that would have been better to me.
Well, that character has the more interesting traumatic backstory. And, Carl
And
Lumbly
yes,
was,
and Carl Lumbly has super strength.
yes. And technically, Carl Lumbly was the first Black superhero on television in the 90s with Mantis. If
Oh,
you remember
that's a
that.
fun fact. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, then getting to the Falcon. Okay, Danny Ramirez is a very attractive man, but I found his character so annoying because
Yes, he's
doing that eager puppy dog thing, but then they're also capitalizing on his appearance because he's very like cocky. And I mean, if he didn't look like that, he would have been unbearable.
he was the one that was supposed to be in that Todd Haynes Joaquin Phoenix movie. I believe he was the other cast
He
member.
was going to be the other homosexual.
The lover, yes. But his little outfit, he looked like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle to me.
Well, also he's saying that it's Anthony Mackie's old outfit, but they're clearly very different sizes. Danny Ramirez is petite compared to Anthony Mackie, and when we see, because on Danny Ramirez, it's very tight, and he like his little waist, his little butt. It's like there's no way that was Anthony Mackie's like former costume. But speaking of gay shit, I don't normally think this about these Marvel movies I watch, but in this one, was it me or was it the way these men were talking to each other felt like they were flirting with each other?
It would,
There was a really weird vibe that felt very fruity to me. I don't know what it was, but
I mean, it's male bonding. Maybe with some tension that they'll never be able to release. But yeah,
but I watch a lot of movies and I watch a lot of movies like this, and I don't recall getting that vibe from other movies. But like this one, even because there's another like military guy, this handsome bearded guy who helps Anthony Mackie. I felt like they were talking like they were flirting. A lot of the looks and like the head turns and
that's
I don't know.
I did think of Batman and Robin with these two, and of course there was always innuendo placed upon their relationship as well.
Yeah, but the magic of Robin is that it felt like Robin, and I'm thinking of like, I mean, my memory of Batman and Robin is the Adam West version, but like Robin,
Not Chris O'Donnell.
but no, not Grizzle, but that Robin knew his place and he was eager, like he wanted to be like, and then he would kind of have tantrums. And I don't know, again, I like Anthony Mackie and I don't know Danny Ramirez except for this movie now, and they're fine, but
Oh, you didn't see Top Gun Maverick, which she could have stepped right off that set into this one with the performance, but
okay, the dialogue. In addition to it feeling kind of fruity to me, I felt like 100% of the dialogue was to just give exposition.
oh yes.
There was no nuance I mean, it was all just like, this is what's happening right now. This is what's going to happen. This is what happened.
Let's read this file. Let's revisit this news clip. And I think I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. Xosha Roquemore as Agent Taylor, who gets a lot of screen time. Did you recognize her?
No.
She is your favorite part of GBF.
Oh my God. My spidey sense was telling me I should know her.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice prominent role in this.
I'm sure there isn't a single person who's interested in Captain America Brave New World that saw GBF, but GBF is a favorite of mine. But
Good old Stein, yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, she has nothing to do in this except basically babysit Harrison Ford. But
I mean, she's effective in this. Okay,
I'd say more effective than Ruth Bat-Seraph.
my God. So the head of the president's Secret Service is this character named Ruth Bat-Seraph, but the way they were saying her name, I thought they were saying it like all bets are off. It was
Yes.
so distracting to me.
About Shira Haas, yes.
Okay. There is a worst hair nominee. I don't think that he'll make the final cut, but I have to include it for my records.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Giancarlo?
No.
Oh no. Well, okay. Who?
Carl Lumley. Okay, so
Yeah.
well, when we first meet Carl Lumley, I thought he looked great. His hair looks like mine looks now, I think. So it looks fabulous. And then he gets a haircut and goes to the White House, still looks great. But when they throw his ass in jail, I'm assuming they were trying to show him looking disheveled, but I hated the shape of his hair when I don't know why they did him like that. And I know this is so hyperbolic, but it was giving Sideshow Bob to me, and it just bothered me so much. But then in the end, when he is released and they put him, he's cleaned up a bit, and then his hair goes back to normal. I just don't know why they did that to him. It bothered me a lot.
They're trying to show he was tethered, yes. Well, especially because Harrison Ford's hair while he's locked up looks exactly the same. But we
Well,
need to, that scene,
trying to make him look youthful.
right? But that scene is so like this. He's like this quiet, magnanimous man. Like I stepped down from the presidency to let the country move on. Like
You almost started a war between the US and Japan.
okay,
You also were using a villain for your own nefarious plan. Like you are not this like American hero.
the Tim Blake Nelson, who supposedly sees like insane probabilities to make all these calculations about what may like you essentially predict the future. You
Like
didn't,
a supercomputer.
yeah, you didn't have any. There was no probability that Harrison Ford might screw you over when he becomes president. And also, you're locked up in this black site location, but this fool is everything everywhere all at once. He pops up everywhere. Like
I need to reiterate this. You're a you're this super brain who is super accurate predicting what will happen. Even a dullard would know that. I mean, that's the most basic premise, right? Like promising this bad guy something to get something from him. Harrison Ford was never going to let you like leave knowing.
also looking the way you do. Where are you going to be?
Also, like you just said, you're mad that you were locked up, but you were outside in this entire movie, just everywhere. So, and also you were able to like perform mind control on all these people. How did you stay stuck in that West Virginia prison for so long?
For so long. And I like Tim Blake Nelson, but it's like this was a nothing role.
I also hated that the first few times we hear him, it's him on the phone and they're trying to shroud his face like we don't know who it is, but he's a previous character. It's so funny to me that this script is so confusing because it feels like I'm watching the third installment of a series of films, even though it's the first one for this character. And so all of the rest of the narrative is like, oh yeah, you should know this and that. But then Tim Blake Nelson's character is supposed to be a secret. Okay. Sebastian Stan, he shows up clearly like they probably gave him a big paycheck and said, you can shoot for one day. And he shows up and gives a little speech. I am assuming that he's in that Winter Soldier show.
Yeah, he was introduced, I think in this, is that the second Captain America film. I think he was the villain, the Winter Soldier, which again, I can't reiterate enough that I don't like these films, but
isn't he in that new Thunderbolts movie?
Yes, that's
but that's not this character.
I think he's still Bucky, I think. I don't know.
Oh, his name is Bucky?
Yeah, his nickname.
So the character he plays in this movie is also the character in Thunderbolts?
I think so, based on the trailer I've seen more times than I want.
So he has like a robot arm.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that at all.
I haven't looked ahead to how all of that comes together as this team of anti-heroes, but whatever reconfiguration it is, I'm sure I'll learn when I see it.
I never like to sit for Q&As at screenings, but I would love to hear like a casting director for a Marvel movie talk about how they choose cast. It's like these very random people. Some are more notable than others. Some are, Harrison Ford. I do think Harrison Ford in this movie is effective until he becomes the Hulk, and then that looks like a cartoon. But yeah, it's just so odd. Like the Secret Service lady, because she's supposed to be like whatever Scarlett Johansson is.
Of the Black Widow school or wherever they
School for
train.
girls, like I don't know. And she's like that lady is like very small, and I'm assuming she has some sort of condition, but well, like muscular skeletal condition, because she looks like
Oh,
that's what
she's
I
very, yeah.
but
But Harrison Ford, though, it's just like I don't understand. That's why I called it deceptive nonsense, because it's like, what is the aim for anybody in this? Because at one point when they're in the bunker and Harrison Ford is kind of at odds with Anthony Mackie, and they're just screaming at each other. That felt like Crimson Tide with Gene Hackman shouting through the whole movie at Denzel Washington. But because there's all these hints, like Carl Lumley's like, you shouldn't be working for the government. So essentially, Captain America is a contract worker in this movie.
so he's not going to get a pension when he retires. um so speaking of feeling like disoriented, they keep talking about Steve, and I wrote down, who the hell is Steve? And then when I got home, I realized, oh, they're talking about Chris Evans, Captain America.
Steve Rogers, yeah.
They couldn't even afford to put his picture up anywhere. Because I'm like, who the hell is Steve? Oh God, the final showdown with the Hulk. I thought when the Hulk turns, because he's like in the White House, like lawn giving a press conference, and he gets mad because reporters are questioning him. And then Tim Blake Nelson shows up and starts talking on the speakers. So Harrison Ford turns, and then we have the Secret Service people shooting at him, and that looks so stupid. Like, y'all know that your little bullets are not going to stop him.
It's like, why are you even you've already dealt with the Hulk. You know that's not the way to contain them.
And then Anthony Mackie trying to fight the Hulk was funny because, I mean, he's so ineffective. Again, the big thing about Anthony Mackie's new outfit is that he has these wings made from vibranium, but I guess vibranium ain't shit compared to adamantium. And then the wings aren't doing anything to the Hulk. And at one point, the Hulk rips apart his suit. And then there's a point where the one remaining wing just blows up. I was very confused by that. I don't know what happened with that.
Does he have to send it back to Wakanda for repairs? Like, how do you get?
Well, and then Danny Ramirez gets hurt during the Japanese battleship sequence. And so in the end, I think that is the final scene that Anthony Mackie is talking to him. And he's like, maybe you can call Wakanda and see if I can get a suit. Like, that suit was not helpful. So
No, but you also like that there was a news story about Joaquin Torres is in critical condition.
I only have one more note, which is I hope all the people who are mad about Selena Gomez's Spanish in Emilia Perez have something to say about Giancarlo's in this movie. I'm not, but since people want to.
Because Giancarlo has nothing to do. What's his name? Sidewinder or something? Nothing to do, but he's intercepting this exchange of the adamantium that's supposed to happen in Mexico. That's in Mexico in the beginning of the film, and it's happening in some church, and he has this priest and these nuns at gunpoint, and I was straight up the only person laughing in the theater when Captain America saves the day, and they're like, "Thank you, Captain America."
That was corny.
And then Anthony Mackie corners Giancarlo at one moment in that scene, and some other big brutish man comes, and Giancarlo goes, "You have bigger concerns." Like, no, he doesn't.
Oh God, when Giancarlo ambushes Anthony Mackie.
That was a well-staged scene, because I was like, oh shit, this is like we're in Sicario.
That felt so strange. And again, Anthony Mackie gets stabbed. Like, he doesn't have superpowers, but he gets stabbed a few times, and there's no recuperation. Like,
oh no, he goes and picks up Joaquin Torres, and they're like, come on, we gotta go.
we have to drive to West Virginia, and Joaquin's like, we got to grab snacks. Yeah, the tone is weird. It feels kind of like it's trying to be more serious, which I appreciate. But then the little moments of humor feel, I mean, they're not enough to make it not seem silly. Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that I didn't enjoy this, but
And we didn't talk about the director, Julius Ono. It's a
oh
big
yeah.
film for him to do. I remember his debut, The Girl is in Trouble with Columbus Short. For whatever reason, because of who I was writing for, that was on my radar of a project in development that sounded interesting. And God, I waited years to see that. And remember thinking that was okay. He also did the Cloverfield Paradox, which I didn't love. But we reviewed his last film, Loose, with Octavia Spencer and Naomi Watts, which I really liked.
Is that with Calvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a high profile gig for him, but I think he's
Well, I'm sure
over
he
it.
didn't have 100% control, and
No, because they never do working with things at this level. But and to have the audacity, there's going to be more people that associate Brave New World with this dumb movie than the Aldous Huxley novel, which to me seems criminal. But
well,
what
again,
do
it should be called Captain America Cherry Blossoms. Well, at the time of this recording, there are 188 Rotten Tomatoes critics reviews, and it's sitting at 52% rotten. So I guess we're not alone in not loving this film. What would you give Captain America Brave New World?
I'm giving it a 1 because I think it's a complete waste of time.
Oh, well, I don't think it's successful. I'm giving it 2 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.